Hello and welcome back to Brewers Bastion. Today, we're diving into one of the most terrifying predators your players will ever face. A creature born from volcanic fury and infernal cunning. I'm talking about the Ashen Alpha, a CR-14 fiend that doesn't just hunt your party. It multiplies to do it. This isn't your typical monster. The Ashen Alpha is a tactical nightmare that creates its own pack from smoke and embers, growing stronger with every clone the party destroys. So, grab your fire resistance potions because we're about to explore everything you need to know about this volcanic apex predator. The Ashen Alpha is a wolf-like creature the size of a direwolf, but its body is composed entirely of smoldering embers and volcanic ash. Its veins don't pump blood, they pump noxious smoke. When it breathes, cinders fall from its maw. This is a creature literally forged from the volcanoes of Avernus, or whatever you're calling the hells in your campaign. Scholars believe the Ashen Alpha is the cousin of the Hellhound, but with a twist. According to planar lore, devils originally bred these beasts in the furnaces of Avernus, the first layer of the nine hells. They wanted creatures that could survive infernal heat and serve as shock troops in the Blood War. However, as tends to happen when powerful creatures are involved, some of these escaped and found their way to the material plane, making the volcanoes and hotspots of this plane their home away from hell. Over centuries, exposure to volcanic gases, brimstone vents, and raw elemental fire transformed them. Their hearts became forges, their breath became weaponized smoke. They evolved into something new, something uniquely terrifying. The Ashen Alpha is a solitary creature, but it is frighteningly intelligent, particularly for a beast. These creatures understand tactics. They know how to flank, herd prey, and most disturbingly, they seem to understand fear. Most survivors of alpha attacks will report the same thing. There's something in the creature's eyes, something that suggests it enjoys the hunt. It relishes the terror it causes. This isn't mindless predation. This is strategic, calculated hunting. And it has a few tricks up its sleeve to make sure that even though it hunts alone, its quarry has to be worried about attacks on multiple fronts. Let's break down what makes this creature an absolute terror in combat. First, stats. The Ashen Alpha is a large fiend, CR-14. It's got 168 hit points, which may seem low for a CR-14 monster, but we'll cover why that limitation exists in a moment. With plus 10 to hit and a 3-attack multi-attack, it's putting out serious damage. We're talking an average of about 53 damage per turn if it's only using its multi-attack ability. And that's before it gets mid-battle buffs, because, yeah, it can do that. The real threat isn't these starting raw numbers, it's the abilities that make this creature tougher and tougher to fight as the combat goes on. First up, anyone who touches this thing or hits it in melee takes 2d6 fire damage automatically. Your fighter charging in with a greatsword, taking damage just for landing a hit. Pretty standard for creatures like this, but still worth mentioning. The thing you have to really watch out for, though, is its signature move. Once per day, the Ashen Alpha can use Exhale the Pack. It billows with smoke and splits into 6 smokescreen clones that appear anywhere within 60 feet. The original Alpha disappears completely and is untouchable during the time the clones are active. Each clone is a medium-sized creature with 67 hit points, the same movement speed as the Alpha, and its own set of attacks. They can move through spaces as small as 1 inch wide, have advantage on stealth checks in dim light, and emit noxious gases that poison nearby creatures. But here's the kicker. These clones have pack tactics. That's right, they're getting advantage on every single attack roll when they gang up on someone. And when you destroy a clone, it explodes in a 10-foot radius, dealing fire damage and potentially blinding everyone nearby. But it doesn't stop buffing itself yet. Every time a clone is destroyed, the remaining clones and the alpha get stronger. The Dying Embers ability, which the clones and the alpha both possess, allows them to deal an extra 2 fire damage for each defeated clone every time they deal any fire damage. So, if you've killed 3 clones, every single fire attack by the remaining clones is going to be dealing an extra 6 fire damage. That stacks up quickly. When you finally destroy all 6 clones, the Alpha reforms with whatever hit points it had when it split. But now, it's dealing an extra 12 fire damage on every single attack. That brings up its average damage per round to about 89 with its multi-attack. The Alpha also has a volcanic burst on a recharge, a 30-foot radius explosion dealing 10d8 fire damage, 45 damage on a failed save. And let's not forget, since the Dying Embers ability buffs all of its fire damage, not just its attacks, this massive AoE deals an extra 12 damage to everything in the area after this thing's clones have been defeated. It also has legendary actions, including Cinder Step, which lets it move without provoking opportunity attacks, and leave burning, difficult terrain behind. Not to mention, this thing's 50-foot movement speed means that sometimes, if need be, it can stay out of range of those melee fighters almost indefinitely. And if you're fighting this thing near volcanic terrain, it regenerates 10 hit points at the start of every turn. So, good luck with that. So how do you actually use this creature? The Ashen Alpha works best in volcanic or mountainous terrain. Think lava flows, sulfur vents, unstable ground, etc. It isn't just flavor. The Alpha regenerates near this volcanic terrain, so this is home turf advantage. Here's how I'd run it. The party is traveling through volcanic badlands when they start seeing something. A massive shadow, wolf-like in shape, on the ridge above. Glowing eyes in the darkness. Maybe they find scorched earth or the ashen remains of previous prey. Combat starts when one of the two groups tracks the other one down. And don't forget, this thing's proficient in stealth and loves making sneak attacks. Make sure to use its Exhale the Pack ability as early as possible. This thing has pretty low starting HP, so you'll want to make sure the party doesn't just alpha strike it down before it gets to do anything. If you think you can get away with an AoE burst attack the first round, you might try that, but it is possible your players can take this thing out in one round if you're not careful. Once it uses the Exhale the Pack ability, suddenly there are 6 wolves surrounding the party. The clones use pack tactics to gang up on isolated party members. They use Cinder Leap to reposition and spread out the party, and noxious gases are poisoning anyone who gets too close. And even with only 1 attack per turn, these clones are nasty to fight. Their ability scores and saving throws are still equal to those of the Alpha. DC 18 saves and plus 10 to hit with their attacks, because they are, after all, simply clones of the original. Your players will have to start targeting the clones, which is exactly what the Alpha wants. Each destroyed clone explodes, potentially blinding party members and making the remaining wolves hit harder. When the last clone falls, the Alpha reforms, now supercharged. This is the climactic moment. The party is likely hurt, possibly scattered, and now they're facing a turbocharged predator that's dealing massive fire damage, and likely has all of its recharge abilities available. However, the wolf is down to its last legs as well. It can only summon clones once per day, so for what may be the first time in the fight, it is finally vulnerable. And there you have it, the Ashen Alpha, a volcanic predator that turns the battlefield into a tactical nightmare and punishes your party for every single clone they destroy. This creature is perfect for mid to high level parties who think they've seen everything. It combines the terror of being outnumbered with the brutality of an escalating threat. Remember, fire resistance is going to be your friend here, and maybe some way to deal with poison and blindness and difficult terrain. Actually, just bring a lot of healing potions. So, what do you think? Would you throw this at your party? Have you homebrewed any similar creatures with escalating mechanics? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this creature feature, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a weekly monster. And if you want the full stat block, join the Bastion on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may your wit be as sharp as your sword.